This is CJ with the GOAT Sports Talk. Wanted to talk about King James, LeBron James. As you know, as it was actually in Miami, and he had an Instagram post where he basically thanked all the people that had made him great, and it just so happened that he was in Miami. Now, of course, there's other rumors concerning the fact that he's disgruntled about the moves of the front office of the Cavaliers. Of course, we know that Dan Gilbert did not rehire the GM. He did not extend his contract. Of course, he did ask for, I think, about $7 million a year to be a GM. Of course, a GM for a very, very, competitive, tough team to build, to keep happy, especially to keep LeBron happy. And at the end of the day, Dan Gilbert decided that he wanted to move a different direction with the GM, and that allowed a situation where a lot of trades that Cleveland probably could have executed did not go through for them, and also some free agent signings also did not happen for them as well, including the Jamal Crawford signing. So there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people thinking that LeBron James is going to potentially go to the Los Angeles Lakers, but I'm going to kind of go into a little bit as to why, if LeBron were to leave, the first choice for him would be actually to go back to Miami. Now, that might sound crazy because he bought a beautiful home in Miami when he went over there, and of course, you would think, okay, if he wanted to stay in Miami or potentially come back, he could have kept that property. But as you know, in this type of thing, especially with him being the market, he literally adds value to cities. So the property value of the Miami area actually went up during the time of LeBron James, 4 years in Miami. So why not sell, knowing that you're gonna make pretty much more money at the right time, and then just put that money into other investments. So if he wanted to move back to Miami, he could easily do it. He can get a bigger, badder home than that he had. So a lot of people would think that he probably would have kept that property. After all, he does have an LA home, but I'm pretty sure he has at least a condominium or something like that in Miami, like a lot of these guys would have in a lot of cities that they tend to enjoy and visit and like. Now, the reason why I think that Miami would be a good fit for him is because from a payroll perspective, they actually are pretty good. Now, I think that part of the reason why Miami had not been able to keep LeBron was because the fact that it was hard to convince LeBron to stay there. One, they didn't want to go over the cap, even though they had just been to 4 straight NBA Finals, won 2 of them, and it was obvious that they needed to improve youth-wise. They probably needed to get maybe another big man, and they probably needed, at least another, probably better point guard play, I would say, because of course, as you know, they did have, who was this guy, Mario Chalmers, as their starting point guard, during that time. And where's Mario Chalmers now? Granted, Mario Chalmers did get hurt, so he might be back in the next season, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough, and especially going up against a deeper, more seasoned overall, San Antonio team. LeBron James probably felt that with Dwayne Wade having the injury issues that he had, with the lack of big men to basically really aid and help in the rebounding department, and some depth issues at times, even though the last 2 years they did have better depth, it just seemed that it was just going to be too much work that LeBron was going to have to do in order to carry that Miami team further on to a title, especially considering that Dwayne Wade was always having health problems. Now, and then in hindsight being 2020, look at the situation with Chris Bosh, where Chris Bosh had the blood clots, and it ended up becoming more of a life-threatening issue once LeBron left. So imagine if LeBron was on a team, had he been the last 3 years tied to a contract with, Wade playing, pretty much not even half, probably maybe 60% of the games during the season, on a decline, but still showing flashes of brilliance, but tied up with a lot of money on the salary cap where you can't sign another younger talented player. And then imagine also having Chris Bosh, who all of a sudden is in a situation where his life is on the line due to blood clots. That would have been a complete nightmare, especially the last 2 years for LeBron. It would have just been a complete nightmare. So there's really at that point, really nothing that LeBron could do. It's just the situation happened the way it did, and that was just the way it was going to be. You know, that's just the way it was going to be. You know, at that time, and it would have been an uglier situation than you could imagine if that was to be the case. So, at least the good thing is LeBron was able to bring a championship to Cleveland, which should allow him a little bit of leverage to leave Cleveland and come to Miami if he did choose. That's why I believe that as of right now, if he were to leave, that would probably be his number one destination, would be to go back to Miami, especially if his relationship with Pat Riley isn't as bad as it seemed when he left, and his relationship with Mickey Arison can be repaired. If it's not as bad, if he's still on talking terms with them, he still, hits them up when he's in town or whatever. So those could be good signs for Miami Heat fans. Now, let's look at the salary. Okay, so as of now, the salary situation is $87.5 million roughly in the next payroll. The reason why I like this situation for Miami is for one reason. This Chris Bosh contract, even though it's showing on here, these next 2 years are not going to count against them. Insurance is going to pay these. Okay? So they are actually in a good position where now that they have signed Dion Waiters. Now we know they signed Kelly Olynyk. Now this is not showing. I don't know why they're not showing the details. I guess because they haven't really, officially put out the exact numbers. But Kelly Olynyk signed for a little bit of money. It wasn't a bunch. And then you had Dion Waiters. This money he signed for wasn't a lot either. It was 4 years, like $52 million or something like that. So, and I like that kind of contract for if LeBron comes there, because one, you can probably get better production out of Dion Waiters if he's playing alongside of LeBron, because of the fact that he's going to get a lot more open looks. I think that LeBron will also motivate him to do more. I think that, to me, Dion Waiters coming out of college, I thought he would be at least a 25-5 guy. And I think if he can do 25-5 with LeBron, if they were to link up, I think that'll be what you would want from him, an occasional, big game play from him. So I think he just needs to improve his game, be a better passer, get more rebounds. I think in this NBA where you got long rebounds, I think guards, if they're active, they should be able to average around 5 rebounds a game. I'm going to just keep it real. I just really believe that, especially with how many shots are going up, especially the long range shots. Rebounding should be able to be uptick for guards. And so that's the reason why you see Steph Curry, even though he's not a leaper, he's one of the top rebounding guards in the league, Now, what I like about this is the main guy, and this is the reason why I think LeBron can consider coming there, Hassan Whiteside. Yes, I do know that there is a premium for bigs that can stretch the floor. But what Hassan Whiteside brings is something that LeBron James hasn't had consistently in his career, which is a big man that can finish around the rim, catch alley-oops, grab a ton of rebounds, and also be an anchor of your defense on the back line. And I think when you have a team that has that type of a defensive player, I think that with LeBron, I think he'll be able to play more of a rover position where he'll be able to, play the passing lanes, play some help defense, knowing that there's a man down low who's anchoring that block and who's able to, guard the rim. That'll allow him to do a lot more damage on the perimeter and play the passing lanes. So that's what I like about that from a defensive standpoint. And I do believe that Miami, with that type of combo of Hassan Whiteside and LeBron, that I think they will be able to easily formulate a top 5 defensive team in the league, with some other players that they may add. Another guy that I like on this team as well is, pretty much Kelly Olynyk to a certain degree. Let me tell you why. Because Kelly Olynyk is versatile. He can shoot the three. He's a big gamer. And I think that LeBron James would love to have a guy that has a good basketball IQ, doesn't make mistakes, and you can trust to hit the open shot. And Kelly Olynyk is one of those guys, and he as a big man, which is a very good. I think that's something that you'd want to have on your team. Another guy is Dragic. Now Dragic is getting older. He still has 2 more years left on his deal, but I think that for at least that year that LeBron would sign with them in 2018-19. You still would get one more decent year out of Goran Dragic, another ball handler, another guy that can score, Defensively, he's not going to be a stopper, especially if you're going up against like the, Golden State Warriors, but it is good. Another aspect of this, and the other players, they're relatively young. We can talk about Bam, we can talk about Justice Winslow, but ultimately it's not going to matter about those guys. What's going to matter is if LeBron is able to go there with the Bosch contract basically being out of there, with the low amount of money that they're giving to Kelly Olynyk, that they gave to Dion Waiters. The money that they gave to Hassan Whiteside is cool. But guess what? They can get LeBron, and they could probably still sign another max or near max player on this team. And that would create a team that would have, 4 very solid players in Dion Waiters, Hassan Whiteside, LeBron James, and at least one other player. And I believe that if LeBron James was to go back to Miami, I believe that there will be at least one player that would love to make $100+ million a year and play in Miami with LeBron James for the next 3 to 4 seasons minimum, So that's how I look at it. I think that that's something that they can look into. And I do believe that Miami is positioning themselves with the way that they dealt with the offseason. They didn't sign no big contract. They didn't give no Otto Porter $175 million or something like that. They didn't do that. They're waiting right now they allow themselves to be flexible for the free agency of 2018, in which you have, a lot of players. I don't even want to go down the list, but it's going to be a lot of players that will be able to opt out of their contracts, a lot of players that will be complete, outright, unrestricted free agents. So, you're talking about, you could probably have LeBron go there and maybe bring Russell Westbrook if things go bad in OKC. You might have LeBron and Paul George go there. If you have put LeBron and Paul George on this team with Hassan Whiteside and Dion Waiters, you're talking about a team that will definitely win the East. That's a team that will win the East and probably be a little bit maybe more apt or maybe more built to challenge the Golden State Warriors in 2018-19 season. So, like I said, I think that he has to heavily consider. I believe that right now, LeBron James' team is going through and saying and creating a true list of what is the pros and cons of everything, and looking at every situation that can maximize his potential to win at least another 3 more rings. I think LeBron wants to win 7, but I think he realizes that 7 would require something amazing. He probably would have to win this year and then probably even leave Cleveland just to go to a team that may be better suited than Cleveland to compete for another 3 more rings. Then, something could happen. He'd have to get on a crazy squad, but I do believe LeBron does have a lot of very good options this coming season. He has some very good ones. He can go to New York. New York can clear out their cap. He can go to New York. They can attract another player. They can get their act together. He can play with Porzingis. There's a lot of stuff that he could do. He could go to the Lakers. He can go to Clippers, which I don't believe he'd go, but he could go to the Clippers. He can go to definitely the Lakers and try and bring another player or 2 and get some veteran players there. And depending on if Lonzo Ball is able to actually progress and show that he can be a very good player going into the second year, like you can see it. There's a lot of players like rookie year, towards the end, you're like, okay, this guy's going to be an all-star next year probably. And that's what you want to see, that kind of development. I think that that's the best time. And then let's not forget Houston. We'll discuss that another time in regards to some of these other teams. But as far as Miami, I think they have a very good shot at bringing back LeBron James to Shout Beach. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.